welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Danielle and I am the owner of Damn Fancy Creations and the Drunk Flamingo Glitter. If y'all are new to my channel, I do want to let you know that you can catch my content in a few different places. I have a large tutorial group on Facebook. I have my Damn Fancy Tribe, which is my exclusive group where I offer free digital files, discount codes, group challenges, and exclusive content each month. And I have the fun Drunk Flamingo Glitter group. If any of those groups sound like something y'all would be interested in, I'm going to drop them in the description below. Today's tutorial is kind of started off as one thing and ended in a different direction. I started off just doing a neon leopard swirl. By the time I got done with this tumbler, I wasn't super happy with how it turned out. I just felt like it was missing something. And also at this point, just everybody was doing this color scheme for their leopard tumbler, and I just didn't know what to do with this cup. So it literally just sat for about a month until I figured out what exactly I was going to do with it. So this is kind of a tutorial to show you guys that even if you're not happy with how a tumbler turns out, there are always different things you can do to it to enhance it or to switch it up just a little bit to fit your style a little bit better. So for this tumbler, we are going to do the leopard swirl with the neon colors, and I am going to power wash it 2 different colors, and then I went back with a fun quote that was in a rainbow leopard vinyl. It's super fun, and I love how it turned out in the end. So if you guys are ready to see how I kind of fixed this neon leopard swirl tumbler, let's get started. Alright guys, so we're going to start with a tumbler that is base painted and colors that are going to match our glitter. I just chose to spray paint my tumbler in a swirl. It is definitely not perfect. If you would rather use acrylic paint or airbrush or something like that, this is just so that our base is not white and will help brighten up our glitter colors when we apply them. Next, we have epoxy. I am using CC DIY's Fast Set, and I believed I used 2.5 millimeters of A and B. You don't need a whole lot when we're doing the epoxy method. And the less that we use, the less runny the epoxy is going to be. So I am not even going to need to put this tumbler on a turner when I get done with it. I can just leave it on my stand, and the epoxy and glitter is not going to go anywhere. So we are just mixing it really good right now. I don't ever mix for a certain amount of time. I just mix until my epoxy looks clear and there are no striations or differences. If your epoxy is not mixed correctly, it can kind of look like there's oil in the epoxy, kind of how like an oil and water mixture may look. You can tell it's not well blended. The same thing with epoxy. So once your epoxy is clear, no striations, then you know it's mixed well. I do scrape the sides, the bottoms, and my stir stick often. So it looks pretty clear right now. So we are ready to apply this epoxy to our tumbler. So I am just going to take the epoxy and we're just going to pour just a little bit. And I am just going to rub it all over the tumbler, making sure to cover every little section. So make sure that you focus on the bottom rims and edges as well, because we want to make sure that glitter gets on every part of this tumbler. And then I am just going to smooth this epoxy over the rest of the tumbler. And y'all can see that I am basically pulling the epoxy from the bottom to the top of the tumbler. You want to get it pretty thin because we don't want any movement of the epoxy. We just want it to basically be tacky or sticky. So I'm going to add a little bit more. And then I'm just going to go around and smooth everything out, just making sure that every part of this tumbler is covered with epoxy because we don't want any bare spots. And since this is our base layer, I am not going to hit this with my torch or anything because the bubbles are not going to show because it's going to be covered in glitter. And once our epoxy is on there, we are ready to apply our glitter. So a lot of these colors are from March's Flock Box, and the purple and the orange are new colors that I added to my site. This pink is really pretty. It's called Get Lucky from thedrunkflamingo.com. It is a really pretty pink coral mixture with a little bit of chunky and some stars. It's so pretty. And I'm just going to take this and we're going to pour it over the pink section. We're not going to cover the entire pink section because I do want the orange to also go on the pink section. So I'm just going to start in the middle and I'm just going to sprinkle that right down and let it kind of waterfall into the purple. And don't forget to apply glitter to the bottoms of your tumbler as well. We don't want to forget about those. And then I sprinkled it in the same spot, but I let it cascade down the other side. So that way we have a gradient falling to the left of the tumbler and a gradient falling to the right of the tumbler. And that will help give a nice blend, an ombre gradient when we go to add the next color. All right, so I'm going to put this pink back up and we're going to do the same thing with the orange. We are going to sprinkle it down and let it cascade into that pink. Get our bottom, and then we're going to sprinkle it and let it cascade into the blue. And sometimes I will do this a couple different times just to make sure that we have a good gradient, we have good coverage. And just a tip for you guys, if y'all see any slick spots or spots that appear wet after you sprinkle your glitter, then you can go back and add more glitter. Typically that happens if your epoxy is a little too thick and soaks up all of that glitter. So if you add another layer of glitter, that will help it just kind of sit on top of the epoxy. So we're doing the same thing with all of these colors, sprinkling it, let it cascade to the right, and then letting it cascade down to the left. And I decided to add a little bit of green here, and I did end up regretting that. This is one of the reasons why I wasn't crazy about how this tumbler turned out with just the Leopard swirl, but it is what it is. Sometimes I like to show you guys how I change tumblers that I'm not happy with and how I fix them, just to show y'all that everybody still has cups that they don't like, no matter how long you've been doing this. But I do think it looks much better after I power washed it and added this fun decal. So that's all that matters, is the final result. So after this epoxy has sat for a little bit, I am going to go back in and do a second coat, because this epoxy has had a chance to kind of soak up that glitter. So I want to make sure that there's no wet spots, slick spots, things like that. So we're just doing the same thing, sprinkling it down. And this also helps with the gradient, helping those colors kind of blend together. And my little tumbler stand I did get on Amazon. It is linked in the description. I get asked that all the time. So in case you guys want one, I believe it comes in a pack of 4. But I use them often. So I'm just kind of going around the tumbler and sprinkling the glitter where I feel like the gradient needs a little bit more work, or there may be some slick spots. So we're just making sure everything is covered well. And now I'm going to let this epoxy cure, and then we will add our leopard spots. So this epoxy is cured, the glitter is in place. I did not seal it with spray sealer yet, but I did brush it off really well. And now we're going to add our spots. So I apply my spots with acrylic paint versus Mod Podge, because Mod Podge dries clear, and if we're applying pink spots on a darker base, then that darker base is going to show through. And that's the same for every color. So if you match your glue or whatever you are using to apply the glitter to the glitter, then it will help that color shine through. So we're going to use pink paint for our pink glitter, green paint for our green glitter, and so on and so on. So I am basically applying my leopard spots to the color next to whatever color glitter I'm using. So pink leopard spots are going to be next to the pink swirl. Orange leopard spots are going to be next to the orange swirl, and so on and so forth. That is just how I did it. Obviously, if you guys want to do it a different way, you can do that. So we did our pink spots. Now I'm going to move on to the orange. So I will just apply these orange spots right next to the orange swirl. And I'm just using pink for this because this orange glitter does have a little bit of pink in it, so it's not going to affect the color too much. And now we're moving on to green. And I didn't tell you guys the rest of these colors. This green is Aquadesiac. The blue was Frozen Arendelle. The purple was Bella Luna. And all of these colors you can get on thedrunkflamingo.com. So we're just continuing this same pattern. We're going to apply the blue leopard spots next to the blue swirl. And I am kind of overlapping, you guys can see. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then our final color is going to be purple. So once we are done applying the centers of all of our spots, we're going to do the outside. And again, I'm just going to use black paint. And I like to kind of dot around the edges. I don't kind of swipe my brush. I just kind of dab the paint around. Just because I like that uneven edge. I don't like my edges to be perfect. So once I do a couple lines, I am going to sprinkle my black glitter. And just bang it off. I am not brushing it off right now because I don't want to smear any of that paint. And we are just going to continue this all around our cup. And then we're just going to pour this black glitter on all the little spots. And then we're going to go in between these little spots and add, I don't know, the hollow leopard print, I guess. They don't have a center, it's just the black little spots. And some of them I do full circles, some of them I do 2 pieces, 3 pieces, some are just little solid black spots. I just like to mix it up so it doesn't look too uniform or too like pattern like. and then we're going to sprinkle glitter on all of these. So I just bang it off really good. And then I'm also going to go and add some leopard print on the bottom. And then I'm going to let this dry, seal it really good, and then we will be ready for epoxy. So it is super sparkly, guys. You can already see the pretty sparkly glitter. So I am going to put some epoxy on here. And I either use CCDIY's Fast Set or Artist resin. And I typically just dip my finger in, get a little bit out, or just pour just a little bit on there. And I will kind of drag the epoxy from top to bottom. And this is just so I'm sure that everything is covered. I will link the video of the floral tumbler next to this leopard print one if you guys want to check it out. It is all hand painted with pop of color paint. I love how those tumblers turned out. So for this neon leopard print, we are just getting the bottoms really good. You don't want to glob it up on the bottom, but you do want to make sure that glitter is covered. And then I just kind of wipe from bottom to top just to smooth out any uneven spots or globs. And then I do torch it and pop all of the bubbles. And now we get to the second part. So this tumbler sat forever because I just wasn't super happy with how it looked after epoxy. I just couldn't decide what to do with it. And after about a month, I finally just decided to power wash it. So this tumbler has been epoxied a couple times, so it's super smooth. And we are going to use Dawn Power Wash. And then I used 2 spray paints. I just used a flat black. And I used Ocean Mist, which is one of my favorite blues to use. Both of these are from Rustoleum. I only use Rustoleum paint unless it's Flourecent. Krylon's Flourecent is much better. And you just need a little bit of water. So what we're going to do is shake up our power wash. You don't have to do this. I just find that if I shake it beforehand, I get better suds and they're not as runny. So I am just going to spray my tumbler with this power wash. For those of you that have not done the Dawn Power Wash method, wherever you spray the power wash, the spray paint will not touch. It's like a crayon resist drawing. So we're just kind of misting it on there. I don't do it super heavy, just 1 or 2 spritz just to get the paint on there. And then we're going to start spray painting. So this is the Ocean Mist. I did that first because it's the lighter color. And then we're going to do the black. I did want more black on my tumbler. I just wanted the Ocean Mist to kind of peek through in some spots. And once you think you have enough spray paint on there, we're going to take our jug of water and we're just going to pour it carefully over the tumbler. I just pour it at the top and let the water kind of run down the tumbler and then pour it over the bottom so we get that bottom cleaned off. And then this is what we're left with. So already I just really liked this tumbler a lot better than I did when it was just a plain swirl. So after this spray paint dries, I'm going to take it inside and wash it really well to get any of that soap residue off, and then I'm going to apply my decal. So now that the tumbler has been washed and dried really well, it's time to apply our decal. I did resand the top edge so that we get that little bit of stainless showing through, which will ensure a good seal on our final layers of epoxy. And then I'm just going to kind of pick where I want my decal. Now this is also a perfect example of why you need to know what kind of vinyl you're working with, because I did not realize that this vinyl was transparent. So when I tried to put it on the black offset, you couldn't really see the summer. It did not look as crisp and clean as I wanted. So I peeled that decal off my cup and I recut the decal, and we're going to use a white offset this time. So y'all, this tumbler was just full of fails. Like, there are so many things that I thought would look good, did not turn out well. But it's all about just changing and adapting. So I just picked up the Vibes and I'm just going to line that up first and just carefully kind of peel it off. And because this summer had to be matched up pretty well with the offset and the word below it, I just decided to apply the first couple of letters with my fingers or my tweezers just to make sure that each letter was kind of matched up as best as it could be. So now that those three were matched up really good, I am just going to apply the last three with my transfer tape. And we're just going to line everything up, press them down, and now we're ready to pick up the whole decal. But I just wanted to show y'all just the difference. So with the white backing, you can definitely see the word summer more clearly, and I was much more happy with how this one turned out than the first decal. And now I am going to apply this decal over the darkest part, wherever it had the most spray paint. Just because this little section didn't have a whole lot of color or leopard print or anything like that, so I figured this would be a good spot for my decal. So I just lined it up as best I can. I am not one that measures to the edges. I am not always about perfection, as long as it still looks really good. So I just kind of smoothed down the center, and then we are smoothing down the left side and the right side. And then I just make sure that everything is good and smooth, no wrinkles. And then we're going to peel the transfer tape off. And now we're pretty much done. So I also, since this did have Dawn dish soap and I wasn't sure how this particular decal was going to react to epoxy, I decided to seal everything with Quick Coat. If y'all don't have Quick Coat, I do recommend it. It definitely helps kind of seal any vinyl or glitter, things like that, that you're unsure if it will resist epoxy. It's just a quick little step. Just coat the entire tumbler or just the area that you are concerned with. But this is Quick Coat. And it really just takes a tiny amount. It's very thin, almost like water. And I'm just going to pour a little bit into a medicine cup. And I just use a soft brush . And I am just going to go over the entire tumbler, starting with the decal. So we're just going to coat the entire tumbler. And then after you coat your tumbler, you are going to let this dry completely. If you try to epoxy your tumbler when Quick Coat is still wet or tacky, your epoxy will appear cloudy, and we definitely do not want this. So I will just set it to the side and let it dry for an hour or so. And I would check it every so often, just because it can drip a little bit, and we don't want those dried drips on our tumbler either. So after it is dry, we're going to put it on for epoxy, and that is it. So here are some finished pictures of how this tumbler turned out. I am so much more happy with it than just the basic leopard swirl that I originally did. I think that the power wash and then like the leopard neon peekaboo just kind of adds a little bit more interest. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If y'all enjoyed this tutorial or learned something new, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to catch the next video coming up that was picked just for you. As always, if you're looking for more tips, tricks, or tutorials, be sure to check out my tutorial group on Facebook or my Damn Fancy Tribe. Both are linked in the description. Thanks for watching.